listening to the Thom Hartman Program.
Right now, there is an FDA, as we've talked about so many times this week so far, that is dysfunctional. And whether it's Vioxx, Fosamax, Yaz, you name it, FDA failure after failure. The newest is Pradaxa. We have an FDA that is useless as far as it comes to protecting your health. It's almost, we're living in a self-help environment where you can't even take the advice of a doctor about a prescription because the doctor most of the time has been lied to by the pharmaceutical company about the safety of the drug that he wants to give you. They've covered up the clinicals. They've gamed the system to where they've actually hired biostitutes who can be bought at universities to write favorable literature about their drug simply so they can sell the drug. Sometimes the industry themselves writes the literature and simply has the biostitute sign off on that particular medical literature. This is a case that is remarkable to me. It's a mesh sling that is being put in women's bodies that is changing their life in horrible kinds of ways. I have Robert Price with me. Robert's an attorney handling these cases of faulty transvaginal mesh products. It is a dismal, ugly story. Robert, is the story getting any better? The last time I heard, the numbers of reported cases of disasters with these products continue to grow.
Hi, Mike. Yeah, the story has gotten a little bit better. Just in the past year, we have some substantial developments, not only in the court systems, but a little bit on the regulatory planes, thanks to some interest groups really pushing, and the legal community ourselves pushing lawsuits at these manufacturers.
Tell us what the transvaginal mesh product is, how it's being put into women's bodies, and what a medical disaster it is.
Mike, a transvaginal mesh product is simply a large piece of polypropylene, just a synthetic mesh that's been woven and it's been pre-packaged and put into a kit to be handed to a doctor to implant in women who have stress urinary incontinence or pelvic organ prolapse.
And what is that typically from?
Well, typically that'll happen to a woman after she's had a child, most commonly. It's childbearing women, and as you know, a childbirth can cause some trauma in the pelvic region, can cause some changes in the muscle and the organ dynamics, and what will happen is you'll have some prolapse there, or you'll
What is a prolapse?
Prolapse is actually the downward descent of pelvic organs. It's organs such as the bladder or the urethra, or a combination of different women's pelvic organs in the vaginal area. It can be an embarrassing problem. And
now, Robert, you said the product is handed to doctors to put in women's bodies. Do these doctors, are they surgeons? Do they have special training on how to do this, or is this? A lot of times we see doctors handed products like this almost like it's a prepackaged. Anybody can do it. Go to 2 days of school and you can learn how to put this in a woman's body. Is that what happened here?
Absolutely. The companies would like you to believe that these are specialized procedures, but the only specialties being conducted here are the sales tactics and the backdoor handshakes that are being done at OBGYN clinics and places like that. These things are just being passed out, and they're being told, doctors are being told that these products are safe, they're effective. You can put them in any woman who's had any of these problems, regardless of the other things out there. So what happens is doctors all over the country are putting these things in because the companies themselves are lying. They're lying to the doctors. They're lying to the patients. They're lying to everybody. I'd like to say they're lying to the FDA, but frankly, the FDA hasn't really cared because the FDA has never required any studies on them.
The FDA has never had the transvaginal mesh study. Is that what you just told me?
Yeah, that's correct. As I'm sure you know, Mike, through the 510K process, any manufacturer can basically clear a market to be put on the product if they claim to the FDA that this the product that they're putting out is substantially equivalent to something else that's out there on the market. And this has been going on for the past 10 years. Each one of these companies has just been saying, well, this mesh is just like this mesh, so let's put it out. Well, this one's just like this. And this has been going on for 10 years.
Okay, so it falls under this special requirement, this special break. And the FDA says, okay, well, we know you're going to put this mesh product into a woman's body. No special training. It's a package. We haven't tested it ourselves. We don't know whether the damn thing's safe, what it'll do, but go ahead and put it in a woman's body. And the end of that is the short list that I can recall from reading your material is erosion of the vaginal epithelium, infection, that sometimes where you have incontinence, where you have the bowel or the bladder blood vessels that are perforated. You have sometimes the entire, all of that then it extrudes through all different parts of the woman's pelvic region. Is that about right? The point being, this is not something that stays in place like it's supposed to. It simply falls out sometimes.
Well, yes, you've basically got it correct. What this stuff is it will become implanted. Now, this is inside the tissue of the vaginal area. This is probably the most sensitive place on a woman, and this woman is receiving this plastic polypropylene mesh. It gets inserted, it gets implanted, and what happens is this mesh starts to bond with tissue, and the body starts to undergo an inflammatory foreign body response, and it's just a nightmare from there.
What do they do when it goes bad? I mean, more surgery, more of the same? We got about 1 minute. Tell me what happens.
What happens is that the woman goes back to the doctor that implanted it. The doctor is often dumbfounded because he was never warned of what could happen, and the woman has to undergo excruciating surgeries to try to remove these pieces of mesh, and it's a nightmare scenario. Once a woman has a mesh product and that mesh product goes wrong, she's in for a lifetime of pain.
Robert Price, thanks for joining me. Keep us informed about this that keeps developing.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program.